Our own statistics, we know from statistics around the nation that the highest contributors to people acquiring the disease are those who've overseas travelled or those who've had direct contact with them. And if we want to stop the spread of the disease, we need to better monitor everybody who comes from overseas. And yesterday at National Cabinet, as a PM articulated yesterday, all states have committed to isolating from midnight tonight anybody who gets off a plane in a hotel in New South Wales or any other state in which they land for a period of 14 days. I want to thank Commissioner Fuller, who on behalf of New South Wales will be responsible for undertaking this very big task. And I also want to say it will not be perfect and it will not be foolproof. We have on average, as the largest city in the nation, with the most overseas travellers coming in, we will have between 3,000 and 5,000 people coming into Sydney every day for the foreseeable future. Not all of them are residents of New South Wales, but having agreed to the National Cabinet arrangements, that means that if you live in a different state, you will have to stay in New South Wales for 14 days, and then you'll be allowed to commence your journey onwards. All premiers agree to this. So, for example, if there are New South Wales residents that get off a cruise ship in Perth, they will have to be there for 14 days before they can come to New South Wales. These are important arrangements, but I also want to stress how important it is not only for all of the authorities to work together well, which we have been, and I want to thank in particular Minister Dutton, with whom we've had conversations already today. I want to thank the head of the Australian Border Force, and I also want to thank the ADF, who'll be stepping up to support New South Wales in our efforts, because New South Wales certainly cannot do it on our own, and I'm really pleased the federal authorities have committed to supporting us in managing this huge task. And I'm really looking forward to our Border Force officials and Police Commissioner Fuller working together closely in establishing the new protocols moving forward and making sure they're enforced. But I also want to say that no matter how good our federal authorities are, no matter how good our state authorities are, it also comes down to individual responsibility. We will have potentially thousands of people in hotel rooms under self-isolation, and we do rely on them doing the right thing. We will have hundreds of police officers out there enforcing the orders that come into effect from midnight. But we also need people to do the right thing. Now, we understand that some people have had a very stressful time trying to get back home, and we really, really want to consider their position. But we also need to consider the health and safety of 8 million residents in New South Wales, and also more broadly 25 million people in Australia, because we know that when they come into Sydney, many people will then be going back home across the nation, and we have a big responsibility and job ahead of us to protect the health and safety of everybody living in Australia. But I also say to those coming back from overseas, please act responsibly. We know you're frustrated. It may have taken you a while to get back home, but we also know that some people have taken a while in making a decision to come back home as Australians. But when you do get back home, you will have a frustrating 2 weeks, but it's for your own safety and those of the broader community. And it's a frustrating time for many of us. Many people have lost their jobs. Many people haven't seen their relatives in a long time because of health safety concerns. It's really hard and frustrating for all of us. And so I say to those travellers, you need to bear with us, you need to do the right thing. There'll be enforcement procedures in place from both a federal perspective and a state perspective. But we're also asking people to do the right thing. And I'm not going to pretend it will be a perfect system. I'm not going to pretend that we're going to absolutely make sure that every single person abides by these rules, especially given the number of people coming in. But what I will say is that our entire police force is ready for the task, and we're looking forward to working with Border Force and also the ADF, the Australian Defence Forces, as well as all the other federal authorities involved, because we know that by working closely together, we can keep our communities safe. And again, I want to thank Commissioner Fuller for standing up on behalf of the people of New South Wales from midnight. We were all a line in the sand, and from midnight, the police are officially in charge of managing the operations, as are Border Force and the ADF from a Commonwealth level. And we make sure that we keep our communities safe by making sure people are adhering to those strict isolation orders. And we do it because we know, as I said, that the largest proportion of people acquiring the virus are bringing it from overseas. And then the next category of people are people they're having close contact with. So we know that if we do a really good job in containing the spread at that level, we do a better job in containing the spread in the broader community. I'll ask Commissioner Fuller to make a few comments, then I'll ask Minister Elliott, and then I'll ask Dr Chant to give us an update overall on today's cases and the configuration, and then we'll take any questions.